So before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you, have you seen the Nancy Grace 2 Chainz clip?
Yeah, man. And, I got to say, that suddenly, at first I was like, get her 2 Chainz. Because he did. And he did a great job, man. It was really admirable what he did. But then I realized, oh, this is professional wrestling. Nancy Grace is a character.
Yes.
2 Chainz is a character. And basically what I'm watching is like I don't know if you remember like the Great Kabuki. Do you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that?
I've seen that.
So yeah, man, but it was just like, oh, I'm just watching like professional wrestlers take, one's clear. Nancy Grace knows she's a bad guy in the eyes of a great many people. She's not, I don't think she's entertaining the illusion that anybody really considers her to be a warden of the lost children of the world.
I hope
They
not.
really just think she's a kind of angry, venom spewing psychopath, right? And everyone knows that, and that's why we watch it. I
Yeah.
would say of her audience, I don't know what the demographic is, but guaranteed that they've studied it and studied it and studied it, right?
Hmm.
I would say of her audience, at least half are composed of people who just like to watch her because she's such an asshole, right? On
Definitely.
TV. So then you realize, like, oh, it's a character. And then 2 Chainz, as brilliant as he is, and as adept as he was at,
Hmm.
one thing I really admired that he did is like showing no facial expressions at all, so
Yeah.
that there was no giving her anything. He was giving her nothing. He was not smiling at her. He was not nodding at her. He's barely to get moving, and that really put him in a very powerful position because a smile or a nod uh, would almost condone what a monster that she was, right? So
Hmm.
like he's really doing a great job of keeping very still and in a very simple, inarguable ways, destroying her insane argument. But I got to thinking, like, is Nancy Grace secretly a pro marijuana person who recognizes that the best way to continue the inexorable movement in the direction of the ending of the prohibition on cannabis is to take on the stereotypical character of a shrieking anti-marijuana witch who is universally reviled and allowing herself to be eviscerated by this hero on TV. You know what I mean? I started thinking like, oh,
Yeah.
like she's actually almost as important as a marijuana activist as anybody else out there, just because if Nancy Grace is saying it, you probably shouldn't take it seriously.
Yeah, she's the example for what you shouldn't believe. It's like Ann Coulter, who I think is even 10 times more despicable. I wish she was a character. I hope she's a character as well.
I think it is. I think that. Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is we're all characters, and anything that we do is really just acting like something because our essential nature is pure and infinite expansiveness,
Hmm.
and that's what we really are, and that's what we came from, and that's what we're going back to, and that's what we are right now. So anything that you do is a character, and I think there's a lot of freedom in realizing that because it gives you permission to be anyone that you want. You don't have to always stay locked into this role. So if Ann Coulter and Nancy Grace ever have an epiphanous moment and recognize the error of their ways, then I think it's really important that everybody in the community embrace them and love them and forgive them. And
Hmm.
I instead of demonize them, because when we demonize Ann Coulter and Nancy Grace, which I've certainly done many times in the past,
That's right.
uh, really what we're doing is the opposite of what they're doing, which makes it kind of the same thing. We become a reflection of their attitude. So it's like Nancy Grace hates marijuana. I hate marijuana. I hate Nancy Grace. I hate Nancy Grace. Really, what you both have in common is hate, right?
Wow,
And
yeah.
and so since both of you are drinking from the same poison cup, it really makes you very similar. So the idea would be, how the fuck do we not revile Nancy Grace? How do we convert Nancy Grace? Is there a way to show her that what she's doing is damaging the world? Is there a way to show her, to get her to really listen? And I think that interview with 2 Chainz, maybe that's one way, but then all the internet comments that she probably gets constantly have caused her to just turn her back on the world and spiral deeper and deeper and deeper into this awful black hole that she created a long time ago when she started to become the character of Nancy Grace. But maybe there's a way. I don't know. It's just fun to imagine, It's fun to imagine, like, shit. And one of the coolest moments, one very sweet moment would be the moment that Nancy Grace came on TV and apologized for having antiquated ideas about cannabis. And that'd be a sweet moment, wouldn't it? That'd be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, and then she goes, and I just got my card, and lights up a joint. No.
Yeah. Why not? That'd be really cool because if Nancy Grace was on there railing against heroin or railing against crystal meth or cocaine or any of those drugs, I don't think anybody would really be like, what a lunatic.
No.
Everyone just kind of like, yeah, that shit sucks. You shouldn't do it. But what she's doing is just it's actually hurting people if they take her seriously, which was, I guess, the great thing about Nancy Grace is that nobody takes her that seriously, and anyone who does is probably a couple of oxygen sips away from falling out of their bed in whatever senior citizen home they happen to be in, flying into infinity. So
people are waking up, Duncan. People are waking up.
Let's hope.